Riveting content. Empowering your life. Welcome to The Sphere. This episode is sponsored by Houston Housewives of Finance. For more information on increasing your cash flow, becoming your own money manager, and to schedule your complimentary personal finance strategy, contact the Houston Housewives of Finance today at 1-844-700-4463. Elite Dental Wellness. At Elite Dental Wellness, Dr. Sandra Batiste understands that one of the biggest obstacles is dental fear. The vision at Elite Dental Wellness is to ensure every patient is treated with respect, ultimate care, patience, and love. Call us today to make an appointment at area code 713-789-8680. Looking to advertise? Join the Sphere's vast demographic reach of thousands of people all over the world. Send an email today to advertise@thesphere.tv or call us at area code 832-772-7789.
What's going on, everyone? You are tuned in to the latest and greatest edition of Society Now. I am your host, Kalen Laws, a.k.a. Senior Owapo. Do me a quick favor. You know the drill. Go to Instagram, go to Twitter, go to Facebook, any social media outlet, and type in, you ready? SENORGUAPO713. Holla at your boy. I am so excited to be in front of you and in your ear on this latest and greatest edition of Society Now. We have some phenomenal guests in the building, one of which I know very well. The other guest, listen, we're developing a strong relationship, but they work for a phenomenal organization, work with a phenomenal organization here in Houston, Texas, doing some great things, creating conversations about what it is to be black, creating conversations about how we express our blackness, creating conversations about, just everything to do with African diaspora and those things that we have, the people that have created things from that lineage, whether it's Latinx, whether it's African American, whether it's Native American, it doesn't matter. If it's from the homeland, they're gonna talk about it. And I got my good friends John and Dominic from Houston African American Museum of Culture. What's up, gents? How are you guys?
Man, we are blessed and highly favored.
Absolutely, you sure are. Make sure you guys get close to the mic so that they can hear you.
Absolutely.
But before we move any, as my grandfather would say, another further, I gotta give props to the reason why I'm here.
Okay.
And that's Kira Laws. Hey.
Yeah,
Hey.
absolutely.
Oh my gosh! Well, happy Friday to you.
Happy Friday, baby.
Okay, I
Did you
love
do
it.
something?
I don't know.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
No, she's my reason. So I'm gonna tell everybody.
awesome, man.
She's the reason why I'm here.
I heart you.
I heart you, shout it.
Amazing.
Let the folks know how they can get into contact with you.
You can follow me on Instagram at the Modern Day Cindy. That's Cindy with an I, not a Y.
Absolutely. So John,
Yes,
Dominic,
sir.
man, tell us about. Let me pull up my stuff here so we can get this thing going, man. Tell us, both of you guys work with this phenomenal. No. Before we do that, let's just jump right in to the fun stuff.
Okay.
Give me y'all opinion, because we can talk about it. Give me
Okay.
your opinion on these here midterm elections real quick. Locally, state, and nationally. Just give me your opinion.
I would say first and foremost, congratulations to those who won.
Yeah.
Especially
You're so politically seasoned.
I will tell you this: it takes a special person to want to devote themselves to community service.
Facts.
And so, we salute those who go out there, who sacrifice their time, their finances, and their family to go out and do a civic duty. So with that said, I think it was a banner day for those who are on the left, and an eye opener for those who are on the right.
Yeah.
And I mean that in all scales. I think you saw a very informed voter this time around, especially dealing with the Propositions A and Proposition Bs, which is interesting because if you've been paying attention to the news, Proposition B has definitely been getting a lot of run in the news about that. But I think it's a good look for all parties involved, and we will find a way to work together, I'm sure, across the aisles. And I really want to shout out the city of Houston for getting out and voting. I think one thing that we should highlight is the very fact that Houston made national news by electing 19 black women into judgeships. So that's pretty amazing accomplishment for the city of Houston and its voters. So
I agree. Dominic, what's your commentary?
Well, I like people more than anything. You know, everybody know about Stacey Abrams, Andrew Gillum,
Right.
You know, even Bitter O'Rourke. You know, we wanted all of those guys to win. I know we was going for those guys in a very big way. But you know, you talking about the women judges who was voted. But there's a lot of women who are on the outskirts. Honorable Wallace, Judge Wallace,
Judge Wallace,
as well. You know, so I'm happy about the midterm elections, but furthermore, I was happier about the actual rapport of people being excited to vote for a midterm election. And I think that's a very pivotal turn of American politics in particular.
Yeah, that's a great point, man, because we haven't seen a galvanized midterm election this galvanized since 2010. Honestly.
No, absolutely.
In 8 years since once President Barack Obama came in and the right got real pissed off about what he was doing, and so they came in droves, right? And so we saw the same thing across the country, especially in the House, man. And I don't necessarily call it a blue wave, but it definitely was a blue splash.
It was something.
It was a splash.
Blue tornado.
Yeah, it was.
Hurricane.
The left really made some waves. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen come January once these sessions start opening up. Listen, I need
popcorn ready.
Listen, I need 3 extra charges because all the notifications from CNN and from the Houston Chronicle. I'm gonna be reading like crazy trying to figure out what's going on.
Especially during this month, there were seldom times that my television channel did not turn from CNN. They got my ratings for like almost 2 months straight,
bro. Yeah. It was like you watching ESPN because it's a blood sport. The things that were going on, whether it was in Mississippi, whether it was in Ohio, whether it was in Georgia, Florida, right? All of these races, man. New York, upstate New York races. Of course, here in Texas, it was just always something to watch.
I think people just understood this time around that your vote matters,
bro.
It does count, and you will be able to see what happens when you decide to gracefully bow out or you take that approach that my vote doesn't count. And because of what's been going on the past 2 years, people are like, nah, I can't afford to sit
there. Shout out to the Boris Miles. Representative Boris Miles, because he came to Texas Southern University and he was telling the students when they said, well, they don't feel like their vote counts. They start learning about getting deep on the national level about electoral college and things of that nature. And he said, well, I'm going to tell you like this. He said, my first term, I won by 12 votes.
Yeah.
12.
Facts.
1,
Facts.
2, 4 times 3,
Facts.
6 times 2, 12
Facts.
votes. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
A basketball team.
When
you think about it. And so your vote does count because it can be that, especially on a local or state level, it can be that close, man.
Yo.
I will tell you the reason why Mayor Turner is Mayor Turner is due to one specific neighborhood, Chasewood in Missouri City.
Yeah, Mo City, 774-89, stand up.
Stand up,
Fort
man.
Bend,
Come on, Mo.
Mo City is the reason why we have Sylvester Turner as our mayor
Right, because they came out.
because they came out.
It
And
came out.
he was that was the deciding factor.
Yeah.
That vote was the deciding factor.
And we got to highlight what's happening right now, even across the country, about these runoff elections, because people were galvanized for the midterms, but there's several runoff elections going on, and people don't have the same energy because they don't really realize what's happening. So I'm getting a lot of personal calls like, "Hey, do you know there's a runoff election? Please go out and vote.
And
Do
I
we
love
have your
that that's
support?"
happening.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate because we have to. It's almost like I feel like it's only happening in states where it was pardon my politics, Texas, Georgia, and Florida, where we're talking about runoffs, where there's we can see the division when it comes to race in politics. And I feel like it's almost as if let's make it a runoff because we know they're not going to show up twice.
Yeah.
You know what?
That's my position. That's what I was thinking about. I was like, is that how we make sure that this person really didn't win? If we make sure they don't come out twice? It's my theory. It's so conspiracy wide.
Right. I'm 36 years old. It wasn't until I was probably 27, 28 that I started really believing that stuff like that could happen. That it does happen. The conspiracy theories, like there's some stuff out here that people are really trying to be longitudinal and thinking long term in terms of how they can wield their political power. Man,
there's one state that makes your thought plausible, and that's Florida.
Florida, absolutely.
Everything
Florida, hands down.
It goes down.
Hands
in
down.
Florida,
America's
man.
basement.
Yeah,
that's what they call it. America's
basement.
That's what they
Everything always goes down in Florida. It's always something popping out from Florida.
It
It
is,
can't
man.
never be anything.
It's never clean. Like,
I mean,
so how are we supposed to trust that this wasn't rigged from the
Ever
beginning?
since, even before then.
Jed Bush.
Yeah, but my very first federal election, presidential election, is when it happened. 2000.
Oh yeah.
That
Al
was
Gore.
And that was, but it was like the Jed thing, like he was Florida
What's
senator
up
or
with
whatever.
Florida? Yeah.
I
But
was
but like you said, Dominic, it's been since before 2000. They've had this issue politically for a long time.
It's like Florida's our best kept secret in terms of sketchy behavior.
Yeah.
It's a little bit on a sketch.
The dirty politics.
Their laws
They
are
still
contradictory.
stand.
You know,
Yes.
their laws are very contradictive, and if you've been paying attention to the Trayvon Martin trial, you don't even have to
Yes.
be into politics to know that there's some dirty service going on down there.
Yeah,
For sure.
Agreed, man. Agreed, man. But they may have some dirty service going on down there, but here in the city, man, we got some great things going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Specifically on a little old street named Caroline.
4807.
4807. But before we talk about those folks at 4807 Caroline, maybe I need to talk to people who are like us, who work really, really hard. Who put in 12, 15, sometimes 12, 18. Yeah, them days be long, right? You're in need of a vacation. Well, are you in need of a vacation? Guess what? December is the perfect time for a personal getaway. Get ready to take an unforgettable trip envisioning an electric you in 2019. As 2018 comes to a close, open up your mind to define, plan, and design a 2019 that's eclectically you. Forgive me. Join in on the fun while vision boards are created and customize a visual that represents your goals and dreams. Enjoy words of wisdom, socializing, light bites, and rediscovery of your purpose through a DIY, do-it-yourself passion project that's memorable and represents your vision. In this year's artsy venue, be prepared to leave this event empowered and ready for the new year. It's December 9th, 2018 at 7 p.m. located at the Ronin Art House, which is at 806 Ritchie Street here in Houston, Texas. You can go to eclecticallyu.com. Again, that's eclecticallyu.com for more information. And we like to get eclectic because we like to be different. We like to really push things forward here in the city of Houston. And what better way to do it than with Houston Museum of African American Art or African American culture?
And when you were saying Caroline, Outcast came to my mind. I was
That's
going to say
right.
Caroline. I was really about to start saying, I was about to say, hey. But then you started going to, I was like,
Hopefully not the
Caroline.
same sentiment.
No, not the same sentiment, but I was like, I feel like y'all should have that music going.
That would have been fly if we'd have had that on cue. That would have been dope. So listen. Tell us about the museum, both of you guys. Just tell us a little bit more about the museum for those of you who are watching and listening and don't really know and understand. People don't know that we've been around for as long as you've been around. Give us some facts about the museum.
Well, I'm gonna let D go, but first,
Okay.
before he starts, I want to make this very, very clear.
Make it plain, Daddy.
just because African American is in the title of the museum does not mean it is solely an African American museum. We like to always market ourselves as a museum for everybody, hence the culture. It's
Come on, culture.
about the culture. And so I don't want anybody who has not visited to feel alienated because of titles. We are a universal, fully operational, free museum for all Houstonians. That's what HMAC is.
Like John Guest says, the museum is a conversation on race geared toward a common future.
I love that.
And just a little history about us. In the year 2000, Mayor Lee Brown had a city initiative to improve the site of African American museums in Houston, so he created two missions. Our mission, the Houston Museum of African American Culture, and also the Gregory School African American Library, which is our sister institution. We ended up getting a building that we currently have in the year 2009, and we've been up and ready ever since. I've been working for the museum since 2013, luckily.
Yeah.
And and I'm lucky. There isn't, because I'm an artist as well, and there isn't too many artists who is in my position. I know that I'm privileged to be where I am, and see the people that I see, meet the people who I meet, and hear some great men, women talk about and teach the culture in which it is a very different layout than what you are hearing. And even in college, Bernard Kinsey, he will tell you up and down, the myth of absence, and he'll tell you that history about John Punch. He'll tell you that history about Dred Scott and why those guys are so important. And that's in contrast to today, when we're dealing with so many things. Racial profiling, stop and frisk, all of these things have racial connotations behind them historically. They say if you don't know your history, you're destined to repeat it.
Absolutely.
So I feel like that's kind of what is plaguing us, but we don't know our history because it's not being taught to us where it should be taught to us.
I agree, man. And as people, it's incumbent upon us to seek out the resources, the avenues, the lanes in which we can get the information. And I want to talk to the people and give the information. Specifically, I want to talk to the Facebook people and ask that you subscribe to our show on all the major platforms, including iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Stitcher. You can review our show on iTunes with constructive feedback. And you can share this Facebook Live post and the entire show with your family and friends.
Share it.
Donate. Again, I say donate to our mission to bring enriched and inspiring content each and every week. You can donate at www.thesphere.tv/donate. We need your what, Kira?
Your coin.
We need that coin. We need that coin. So we're talking about...
We like the money that jingles, but prefer the money that falls.
Come on, coming to America.
Come on.
So,
pass the collection plate.
Donations.
Donations. Cash App it. PayPal it.
Right. Look, we'll take it all. You hear me?
That is so
and
funny.
so, how so you've been Dominic? You've been a part since 2013.
Yes.
How did you become a part of it?
Oh man, I volunteered.
There it is.
That's
Service,
what it was,
baby.
and they liked me. They was like, you're all right. And they came to me and said, "You want a job?" I said, "Sure." But I know that when people come, especially to our exhibition, our symposiums, our panels, our discussion, our debates, they come out inspired, and it's a conversation
and challenged. Too.
Yes. And it's something that they could take that conversation and go out into the community and continue that conversation without us even knowing. I come across people all the time and we was talking about that time when you had so and so at the museum. That happens all the time, and that's what we need to continue bringing to the community is that constant conversation.
Absolutely. We just had in the green room. We just did the same thing by a colleague of ours. That works. She came in and she really gave it to the folks who voted. a certain way, and on campus and then around the city and the circles that we all run in, they still talking about it, man.
Absolutely,
they realize. So, John, tell us how you became a part of it as well, and in what capacity?
So I'm a sitting board member on HMAC, and I came to it from a perspective of understanding the history of how they got to the building where they are. Full disclosure, my family has something to do with that, and so it became more of a personal thing for me. And then once I got on the board, I started really, because I was not a art buff by any means,
Right.
But then I ran into Dominic, who schooled me and who continues to school me. Shout out to Danielle Burns. Well, that's not her last name anymore, but she was the first curator.
Danielle Wilson.
That's what, I couldn't think of her married name, but she was the first one who kind of schooled me to the game. And John F., who is the executive director, major player in the arts and in the arts society here. And so I just started to have more of an affinity for the arts. And then just the fact that people in the political community started to galvanize behind the idea of celebrating African Americans was just a shot in the arm for me. And so ever since then, I just wanted to get involved. And so that's the long and skinny of it. I just wanted to get involved, and then also just be the kind of bridge, because we have a lot of seasoned people who work with the museum that are looking to drop knowledge on who's to come after them. Because we all have a focus of wanting to, it to last longer than any of us.
Yeah, and that's key. That's a critical component to the life of an organization. I don't care what it is. It could be a corner store,
Right?
You know what I'm saying? Getting that wisdom and understanding, that knowledge from the old heads, from the OGs, from the people who've been there long enough.
Absolutely.
And we just saw a nasty election play out here in the NAACP,
NAACP,
about that
That's
very
what goes
thing.
wrong.
right, about that very thing. In wanting new blood, which is actually a very good thing. But the new blood not being humble enough and having enough humility to say, okay, yeah, we want to go a certain way, but tell us what you did right and wrong, so we can figure it out and put it in our millennial. I hate the term millennial, but in that millennial new wave, new drip, whatever you want to call it, and I think that's a missing piece in a lot of organizations. But specifically, tell us why, in your estimation, organizations such as an HMAC are relevant and need to be around. Tell us why they are important.
Well, I think they're important because of Dominic's earlier commentary, which was a conversation starter. I think a lot of the things that go on at our museum, it's a safe zone for other museums
It's a safe space,
and that controversial issues can be talked about.
Yeah.
And we don't run away from it. So you have a not only do you have an art platform, but there are so many other things that the museum does that is synonymous with art that you don't really think about. We have visual pieces. We have there's movies that are being shown like right now as we speak. We have the art of debate. So we'll have conversational topics, things that are a spin on art that will take on the things that people will consider taboo. So its relevance is there because if we don't tell our story or at least start the conversation, I don't know how many places will stand up and talk about those things.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's relevant now and will be probably that beacon for years to come.
Dominic?
Yeah, I agree. Black spaces is a safe space. It gives you a chance to vent and not be viewed or have an identity of blackness without being called a racist. When it all comes down to it, even the idea of what racist even came from, which is the foundation of the profession of racist, which means a profession. But when it all comes down to it, when we, look back on what these black spaces do for us, it's a place also to cultivate our history. Yeah. To be connoisseurs and stewards of our history.
Right.
I, as an artist, I sell work or whatever, and the people who buy my art, and patronize my art is the people who is going to keep my art through history, and when it comes down, it's going to make it historic.
Right.
When we have people who want to donate documents of, Barack Obama's, USA Today magazine, him winning, the presidency in the year 2000, like those things are very, very important to our idea. I said 2000. No, that's the wrong date.
It's all good. Yeah, we knew what you meant.
But when we look at those things, we know that our history need to be collected today. There is things happening today, documents that are written, letters who are written that is very, very important to the history of our people and to the culture. So, that cultivation is just important as it being a safe space, being a way to carry on our history so it can live tomorrow.
Agreed, man. And gosh, I love getting this perspective, getting this wisdom and understanding. It really makes me smile. It really does. And guess what? You need to smile more too. And I got some people that'll help you do it, and that's Elite Dental Wellness. They're sponsoring this portion of the show. At Elite Dental Wellness, our vision is to create a welcoming practice that will offer exceptional dental care and a lifetime of dental wellness. We are committed to the finest possible oral care and overall health and well-being of our patients. At Elite Dental Wellness, we are built upon a foundation of integrity, expertise, and service. Through our commitment to modern dentistry, continuing education, and friendly atmosphere, we strive to make our patients feel that they are a part of our family. Dentistry can be scary. It can be daunting. It can be uncomfortable. But Dr. Batiste and her team work tirelessly to ensure your comfort. Make sure make your appointment today with Dr. Ashandra Batiste at Elite Dental Wellness by calling 713-789-8680. So let's keep it pushing, man. Tell us what's next. What's up and coming? What's next for HMAC? I mean, I know, but tell us what's next.
We have twofold. I'll let Dominic tell you what's going on currently at HMAC.
Absolutely.
Like right now, like you need to get over to the museum. Don't delay. Come check out this awesome, thought-provoking exhibit.
Well, the artist that we have in our current space right now, her name is T. Rock Moore. Most people know T. Rock Moore back from 2015. 2014, she ended up winning the Bombay Sapphire Regional in New Orleans, and then she ended up winning the finale.
Okay.
From there, she ended up having a show at Grichard Gallery, who is actually the namesake of his own gallery, owned by Andre Grichard.
Okay.
She's a white lady who does work about white supremacy.
Wow.
And toxic masculinity.
Yo.
And she basically she is a woman. She is a cool lady. She is in the know.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that she get kind of beat up about. They're saying that her work is appropriatory. Are things like she used too many motifs, but that's what art is. Art is a continual motif function. Mm-hmm. Like even no matter if you're posing, that's mannerism. That's from the mannerists, from the classics.
Exactly.
If you're doing work about God, that's from the Baroque period.
Mm-hmm.
Those things are highly, highly historic, and all of those are borrowed motifs. But T. Rock Moore, her show is called A Burning House, borrowing the quote after Martin Luther King achieved the Civil Rights Act. I think I've put my people inside of a burning house. There's a lot of pieces that are inside of the exhibition that are very, very very, very thought-provoking. There is a vending machine that she painted white, and inside of that vending machine there is holy Bibles and guns that you can buy out of the vending machine. This piece is called America.
Yeah, facts.
It starts with an M.
Yeah.
But these things are wholly about mass shootings and the NRA not speaking out when mass shootings happen, but want to combat people who have problems with guns when a person of color gets shot.
Right.
And all of these things are, contrary of, them basically wielding their guns and calling themselves Christians and, saying that they love their fellow man. I think that's a very, very strong piece in itself. Another piece that she has is called Tired, which is jailhouse bunk beds with cotton underneath the bunk beds. And this is talking about the 13th Amendment. Those who disobey the laws of the land become a property of the state. If
Legal slavery. Legal slavery is what it is.
And like all of these laws that was put in after the Emancipation Proclamation, where you had homeless former slaves just walking the streets, and they would pick these people up,
right,
and basically take them to jail, and that's how chain gangs started. That is the institution of mass I guess you would say for-profit prisons. It's historic.
It is.
With people of color
It is.
in this country.
It is.
And
It is.
Everything that she discusses in this exhibition is wholly and totally relevant to today's society.
I love it. I love it. What's in the future?
And in the future,
The near future.
December 12th is one of HMAC's featured fundraisers, FUND, in addition to FUN
Right.
fundraisers, with myself and yours truly, this guy to the right of me, El Senor Guapo, and a host of other people. We are doing Champagne and Ribs, which was made famous by John F. Guest in about circa 2003.
Yeah.
He's bringing it back. It's probably one of the most popular society events that meshes ribs and champagne.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. It's the only one that meshes ribs and champagne, but it works so seamlessly.
It works. In the past, we've had Tina Knowles be a chair. Solange, her daughter, has been a chair. We've had a host.
We've had Dikembe Mutombo.
Oh,
We've
yeah,
had TJ
Dikembe,
Ford.
I mean, the list goes on
Right.
and on. And this year is special because of the women who I talked about earlier. Champagne and Ribs is going to pay homage to the 19 African American women who will start their beginning of being judges in January. So.
Here in Harris County.
That's right, here in Harris County. So it's going to be a great night, December 12th. We're going to start at 6:30.
It is.
Come hang out with us at the museum and get your champagne and your ribs on.
Yeah.
And it's more than ribs, though, right?
Oh, yeah, no, it's more
because
than
you got to
ribs.
tell people that, because people like it because we live in a very health conscious environment. People like, I don't want to come
We'll have a raw vegetable tray for those.
I'll pay that money for some vegetables.
But
Can I have a piece of chicken on the
simply-
side?
Y'all can sit in the corner with the ranch dip.
I'm just simply hoping for a whole bunch of greasy champagne glasses.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I know
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
I know that's
Fingerprints
right.
everywhere.
We
Bring
know.
your bib. Be cute, but get ready to
Get ready
to get greasy, right?
No, but yeah, we are excited because it's a great event. All proceeds go to the museum, and again, it's not just for African Americans; it's for all. And we want everybody to come and have a good time. They can go to the actual website to purchase tickets, or
search it on Eventbrite.
Yeah, or search on Eventbrite. Definitely.
You can search it on Eventbrite
So
as well.
It's all inclusive. We'll have, even this year, in addition to the host committee, people like Sheila Jackson Lee, our city controller Chris Brown, the judges, as Ford mentioned, Commissioner Rodney Ellis. So I mean, we'll have the different who's who kind of come through, and everybody will all meet at the Mac.
Yeah, meet at the Mac
Meet
and
the
eat
Mac.
at the Mac.
And eat at the Mac.
Listen, I love it. I
With our
love it.
vegetable tray
Without
and my ranch dip on the side.
I love it, man. And we're talking about HMAC. We're talking about all of these wonderful men and women who are serving their city, their constituents. We're giving you all of the game, leveraging this audience, and maybe you're a business owner and need to leverage this audience as well. Well, guess what? This portion of the show is sponsored by The Sphere. Are you starting a business and looking for a place to advertise? Do you have need to reach out to thousands of people across the world to build your brand or sell your product? If so, get your product placement and advertising needs handled right here at The Sphere. Now, we offer a wide variety of content delivery platforms, including iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher. We're on Spreaker. We're on iHeartRadio. We're everywhere. Plus, we have a vast demographic reach within the U.S. as well as modern countries across the globe. Our enriched content and inspiring dialogue, coupled with your strategic ad, is surely to hit the mark each and every time. Call us today at area code 832-772-7789 or email us over at advertise@thesphere.tv.
Man, you do that so effortlessly.
I appreciate it, brother.
That's just awesome.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Let's jump into a few little hot topics. Kira, what we got over there?
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, I don't know where to start, but we're going to start with this. This is a conversation. I know across the nation, people are very conflicted about how do you deal with children when they come to you and tell you that they feel like they don't identify with what they're born as.
Oh.
That's a hot topic. So there's a 6-year-old here in Texas, actually Dallas, Texas, 6-year-old James is caught in a gender identity situation where his mom and father are actually in court right now because the mother says that she wants her son identifies as a female, so she dresses him as such. The dad says when he's with me, he doesn't dress like that. And apparently right now the mom she really is requesting from the court for the dad to consider and or allow her to do this surgery per se.
Oh, too young.
At 6?
Too young.
Start hormonal sterilization at the age of 8.
At 8? Wow.
I would love to hear from you guys. I have I don't think my opinion is strong. I think my opinion is real. I feel like, and I'm sure you guys may feel this, but actually I want to hear what y'all have to say because my opinion is what it is.
Oh man.
At 8 years old.
Ooh.
Right now the child is 6.
Too young.
I mean, you can't even get a tattoo, until you're 16 with your parents' permission.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know, and I don't.
It's such a delicate situation,
Yeah.
and I get that parents are trying to consider their kids' feelings, but my mom's telling me you don't have a feeling. You're discovering life, right?
Yeah.
At that age, do you really know?
Well, my dad was always under the impression I didn't have an opinion.
It was like my mom was like, you don't have an opinion.
It's such a it is touchy.
It's a very touchy situation.
I'm in favor of a kid just being a kid.
Of being a kid.
Yeah. I mean at 8 you still trying to figure out your body.
You haven't even went
okay.
through puberty yet.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I was saying. I said, I feel like as a parent, your job is to figure out, okay, hey, little Jan, John, Sally, Susie, whatever, why do you feel this way?
Yeah.
Is it, maybe he's looking at dress like he likes dresses. You don't know. He might be suited to be a designer one day. Mm-hmm. You might just need to put him in front of stuff that he likes and figure out why he likes it. Is it, because he thinks that he loves food, so he thinks that all women do food, so he wants to, you have to have conversations with your child to figure out why they are saying and or doing certain things. Is it something that he's exposed to at school?
Right,
But a decision that could traumatically alter a life.
You're such a vessel at that age where
Right.
everything is just coming
Everything
in.
is, and I think it's a parent's responsibility to make a child feel comfortable in the skin they're in,
Right.
and allow them to grow into their own opinion at the right time.
Like I don't have a problem with because they say they're born that way. I agree.
I totally get that.
I agree, but body manipulation and at that age, I just don't think that's a good idea to go
Absolutely.
forward with.
Sterilization.
Yeah.
And then when we were talking about it, it was like, people have such hard stances on, I don't want you to get a tattoo. I don't want you to do these things, but you are willing to consider changing a sex of a child based upon what they believe they feel at the time. But you might be very hard pressed about no tattoos and you can't do this and you can't. And we have to be really careful. I was like at 6, 8, 10, 12. I feel like the conversation needs to be had. Okay, why do you feel this way? Well, right now, I want you to be comfortable in the body that you're in before you make a decision about that's can alter your whole life.
I mean, that age,
because I don't know, does a kid know about sterilization?
Man,
Like, how would a kid know about
kid
that?
is watching SpongeBob still at
A kid.
I don't think that he should even know about sex in that way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think that, that made me kind of concerned
Yeah.
about how he is more concerned
How's-
about sex in that way.
Yeah, if I'm the parent, I'm kind of wanting
To
to
know.
know where
And
Where
why
does-
you know so much.
Yeah.
about
How-
your
how-
body parts
yeah.
like that. Like,
how are you that deep? That far along?
and I know
thinking
kids are
about
exposed to
stuff
so
like
much.
that? Yeah,
I mean, I
no.
know they are. I mean, this world, especially in this, everything's fast.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
desensitized in many ways.
Yeah, it's very fast, but again, I feel like it's the parent's responsibility to have the conversation. Okay, well, why do you feel this way? Is there something that you like?
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should do these things, not necessarily to discourage the feeling per se, but to encourage them to be comfortable where they are until they're at a point they can make those decisions on their
Yeah,
own.
No, absolutely.
Because I think the weight of that is on the child, the parent, excuse me, as the caretaker. So to be in court duking it out because you want
Already.
to change my kid.
Yeah.
I empathize with the father because I'm like, I wouldn't want to let that person make
No,
the decision when
absolutely
they're
not.
old enough to do it on their own.
Yeah. No, absolutely not.
Yeah, that's kind of sad.
Give it.
Give it
10
time.
Yeah.
Give it
10,
time.
11 more years.
As
Give it time.
long as the
18,
father
19.
has accepted that his child may not be heterosexual, and I'm good with him basically campaigning against his wife to go through with the surgery.
No, I totally get that, but it's interesting. Well, this is a whole nother story for a whole nother day because we can go down this path a long time. Because then some people are like, well, then what happens when the child grows up, has had this change, but decides they are attracted to women?
Yeah.
That's a whole nother, like, now we're entering into a very delicate dynamic, and we have not yet classified that situation. And do we need to? So it's a lot that's gonna, as our world continues to morph and grow, we're handling things and exposing our kids to things I don't necessarily know if they're ready to process.
No, absolutely.
I don't think they're ready to process the longitudinal effects of it. So it's just an interesting situation altogether. It's very interesting.
Wow.
Okay, so now did y'all hear about? And I want Caleb to chime in on this one because this is a good one. Because he used to tell me that both his parents are educators and they used to teach students with very interesting names.
Oh, I
And
know
he
where
told
this is
me about
ABCD.
Abcde and Abcde. He told me about these people.
Could you say that again?
They are spelled
ABCDE,
Yes.
and it's also ABCDEF, which is Abcde, and he also told me about Abcde, which is ABC.
Well-
I did not believe him when he first told me this. When we first got married, he was telling me, I was like, I said, somebody actually named their child? Because to me, back in our days, the Ishas were the things we
The
got
Isha
clowned
was
about,
Isha,
like,
yeah.
Isha, Keisha, so we have totally gone away from it, trying to find more neutral names that we don't get disqualified on resumes
Absolutely.
and whatnot and
Yeah,
applications.
yeah.
But we have seen this resurgence in other communities where names are different,
Yeah.
and we're naming kids whatever we want to when we wake up in the morning, and
Yeah.
this your decision. But on Southwest Airlines, the flight attendant couldn't believe it. And the mother of the little girl is a 5-year-old passenger.
Right.
And the mother heard the flight attendants talking about it. She actually said, if I can hear you, my child can hear you too. And she was a Caucasian woman. And so, of course, Southwest apologized. But you got to know that I feel like it probably just threw people off.
Oh, absolutely.
Because how do you deal with it? I mean, you're walking your child into a situation or walking into a situation where you knew when you picked that name wasn't going to be the most easy name.
Right.
Because we know it as alphabet. You know what I mean? Like, we
Yes,
know
yes.
it. We're thinking eye recognition.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how do you get mad about that? I mean, as a parent, do you get upset because they're like, what is this?
Well,
How do you handle that? I mean, of course, I don't think could have been more professional.
yeah,
But
you should. Well, yeah. I mean, to them, I've kind of seen some of that only because a friend of mine, who's an OBGYN, actually had a patient
with the interesting name.
with the actual name, but they pronounced it BC.
Okay, so that's the thing. There's so many pronunciations.
There's so many different pronunciations, but it's spelled ABCDE. So, I mean,
I think that's a little hard for her to expect for someone
Yeah.
to pronounce that correctly.
Yeah.
and or not be taken aback when they see it,
Yeah.
because again, we look at it and our eyes are recognizing alphabets.
Yeah, no,
You know?
absolutely. To the Southwest person, I would say, yeah, you have to show some decorum.
Yeah, for sure.
And hold that. But the calls for that young lady losing her job behind that, I thought kind of went overboard.
It went too far.
They went too far. I don't think she needs to lose her job behind that.
Yeah.
But I think it's a conversation. I remember when one of my jobs when I first came home for break in college, I started working in a Galleria, one of the stores in the Galleria. And I remember one of the things they told us in training, it was like, no matter who comes in here, what they look like, do not, whatever you do, you are not allowed to talk about them
Absolutely.
or judge them. He said, because the people that look a certain way, you'd be surprised at who they are.
Absolutely.
He was like, the names are going to be different. They're going to appear a little differently. They're not from here. They said, but that is not any cause for you not to give them the utmost respect and treat them a certain way. I think where she went wrong, if I'm reading this story correctly, is that she took a picture of the boarding pass or something like that.
Yeah,
that was too
yeah.
much.
Yeah,
and I think that was a cause for insubordination
yeah.
because that's a violation of
That's
A breach of
violation.
privacy.
that's
That is.
violation of privacy. So
But-
in that regard, then yes, for sure, you need some disciplinary actions. And unfortunately, if it comes with firing, then that's what it comes with.
But
that went too far.
Full disclosure, though, I must admit.
It's a lot though, because you want proof, right?
Yeah, but that too. But I was like, see, that just totally dispels the myth that we're the only ones with crazy names.
We've been that's why I was saying initially. Apparently, there's been a wave of
Yeah.
change because remember, like 10 years ago, when Gwyneth Paltrow, the actress, named her first child Apple,
Right.
and everybody was like, "What?"
well, believe it or not, people have a problem pronunciating my name correctly, and my name is Dominic.
But you know why? Because you are African American man with the name Dominic.
But if I was an Italian man,
He would be Dominic.
Absolutely.
But it has to do, and that's how we have been kind of brainwashed in our society that we automatically go to pronouncing names a certain way. So I will I can't because I'm still at work. But I've encountered in my work, I've encountered people with names that I wouldn't, just looking at the role and roster, I'm like, okay. Thank you for, they're like, oh, no, I get it all the time. It's okay. This is how you pronounce my name. I said, okay, well, thank you for sharing that with me because in my mind, I would not have pronounced it that way, nor if this wasn't a specific type of class, I would assume you were of a certain ethnicity.
what about hyphens and names? That makes it crazy difficult to pronounce it correctly.
But I think we have to become a little bit more, as a society, we have to become a little bit more we're a little bit too sensitive at times.
Absolutely.
And we have to understand that everyone just does not have the same experiences and exposure. So you can't off the bat expect everyone to do the same thing. Today we took our daughter to the dentist, and the lady that was in there said her daughter's name was Kira. My name is Kira. She spells it totally different than I would spell it, because to me the way she spells it is more as a key error. And I'm like, no. Okay, well that's fine.
I know one the other thing I was thinking to myself when I saw that story is, if I'm that young lady, when I get older, when out of my mom's house, she needs to invoke her inner Cardi B and make money moves and use her middle name moving forward.
I get that.
That A, B, C, D, E.
Yeah, because it can create a blockage and a hindrance. I mean, we've experienced it, like you said, as race. We experienced it for years about people not, okay, well, we're not going to know because we can't have that person.
Oh, yeah,
Application selection.
You might be
Listen,
the best qualified
Deshaun
candidate.
Watson, if he wasn't playing football, was a regular Joe.
Yeah.
And Deshaun came across somebody's table on the resume.
His
Trash.
flow.
Yeah.
File 13.
File 13.
Because your name is Deshaun.
Deshaun, absolutely.
Well, I think you will see the name before you see the race.
Yep.
White, black, white, non-Hispanic, so on and so
People
forth.
automatically.
So I think they would think that child was black.
Absolutely,
because
when
stereotypical ideologies.
Had he not told me the whole story, in my mind, I thought she was black because he had already told me about stories where his parents had encountered people with that same name, and this was 10 years ago. I mean, they had encountered before 10 years, but he was telling me about it when we first got married. But at that time, I think we were talking about black people, right?
Yeah.
So to know that this has gone outside of our race, it's kind of like, so what do you expect?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just wanted to share that because I knew you
I
guys would
think
have
very interesting story.
It was hilarious when I I mean, shout out to the Southwest agent. I probably would have chuckled in the break room, though.
Right, you know what I'm saying? Because it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, my
I hope
parents.
that she gets a job.
Oh,
Yeah.
And
You know,
some
because
probably.
you're setting that young lady up for failure.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
know, in first, second grade, anybody gonna say nothing, but third grade, you know, you setting her up for potential fights.
You want to
get
talk
picked
about
on.
her bullying is going to be obscene.
You know what I'm saying? And then she might turn into a bully.
Yeah,
because so
yeah.
it just longitudinally it's
Raising
just
a
not
child with behavior
wise
problems moving
exactly to
forward.
do that.
And that's when you have to come up with money to put your kid in private schools and things like that, so so you can have the opportunity to tell your you know what I mean. You have to balance it all out. I really.
And I know we're talking about the name a lot, but shame on an adult for speaking. They took she took a picture.
She shouldn't have taken a picture.
Of,
that was too long.
of the boarding pass.
I don't get this day and age.
Like I'm smacking somebody. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. You do something like that to my kid. I would be the stereotype black guy there.
I have never
gladly.
seen so much self-snitching in my life.
Right.
All these people
Right.
take pictures
What is
and,
that
Snitching on
called?
themselves. Yeah.
and posting it. Like you would not even be talking about a fireable offense if you don't take a picture and
You
post
don't have
it
no
on
evidence.
Facebook. You
ain't got
It's
no
just
evidence.
the worst thing to say is you don't have a conversation about someone. So like that's the worst they can give you a reprimand on it. Hey, we can give you a reprimand.
But I think
Yeah.
that's I think there's like a problem with people switching their social media for subconscious. Like we use social media as our subconscious. And you know everything. Well, I ain't gonna say we, but there is people who are very, very prone to basically using Facebook and social media like it's their personal journal or their
Therapist.
personal
No, that's facts. That's
memory
factual.
and
notebook.
I really have
and
a
I think
problem with
that's more of a problem in this case than anything.
Yeah, I for me it's just kind of like all these guys who I've seen, you know, smoking weed and doing just the most, and I'm like, yeah, you
Or
know,
what's about the pictures of like if you know that you are a card carrying gun person, but you can't post pictures of your gun on social media and
come
expect
on,
that when
man.
something happens, they not gonna dig up
Come
all the
on,
dirt.
man.
Like
Especially
you
with
gotta,
guns with banana clips.
Come
like,
on,
bro,
man.
you know that ain't
Please.
legal.
like
come on, all the
you gotta be
self-snitching.
smart. Like you gotta be smart. Now we're not advocating violence, but
No,
it's
we're
like,
not.
we're advocating just being wise. Like
Yeah.
What is the first law of man?
Self-preservation.
Self-preservation.
Like-
Save yourself.
Save yourself.
Oh man, I'm
Save
telling
yourself.
I'm
Be
You know,
telling you.
wise.
6ix9ine is going through that same
Same
thing. I ain't
thing.
trying to-
Like,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to
Same
bring
thing.
up something off subject, but you know,
No, it's not off subject.
It's, you know, the whole like it's so social media recordings of his friends saying they were gonna try to kill him, and
man.
like.
And I'm like, but then you know that
you're
you're
gonna
the
record
people.
yourself
like, but
saying that.
You're the
Golly.
person they're gonna look at because you're the person that's the most visible. Nobody really cares about what your homeboys are doing in
Nobody
the
cares.
background. You are gonna be the fall guy.
You don't have
be made
to.
an
I mean, not
example.
everything has to. You have to Facebook Live everything.
I don't know. And I don't know. I'm old school.
So
old
am
school. I'm like, do I have to put all my life on
All-
here? Absolutely
Every
not.
time you cook something cool, you got to put that on Facebook.
Like,
you,
are you sharing recipes because you got a book coming out? Like, who is
hope they do.
authorizing this?
I hope they do. I wish
you
that
would
they
hope.
get their life together and go ahead and publish
Man.
that cookbook.
Cooking it up.
social
Cooking it
media
up,
is something else.
It is. Now, this is an interesting one, and this is another one that I thought was really good. Roland Martin, journalist Roland Martin, really got on Twitter and was roasting HBCUs, saying that we need to do a better job. HBCU presidents need to do a better job in using his platform as an outlet to connect people when it comes to things that are happening in their city as subject matter experts. You have all these academicians who are subject matter experts, and things are happening all around the country, but they're not getting in on the conversation to start building their platform. And I think one of the things he mentioned was with the Cindy Hyde, I don't know what her whole name, whatever, but he was like he couldn't find anybody from Mississippi, I believe it was, that had something that they could say about it. Any HBCUs in the area that can say, okay, well, this is the history, this is what's going on. He was like, so we have to people on the ground to get this story out and make it fresh, and we're losing it, and we have our colleges should be an outlet that we're pushing out journalism, we're pushing out people that are academicians. What do y'all think about that? Because I feel like he's right. We don't really use the platforms that are already built.
I mean, I think he's got a point to it. I think a part of that too, as a hindrance, is our fundings are different, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I mean, we are solely, a lot of us, still get into school by Pell Grants and et cetera,
Absolutely.
and those things are being cut.
Ooh.
So those resources are being cut. So how many that professor who you could have hired to do your journalism class from the Houston Chronicle or something. Well, you can't afford that person anymore. So who's now teaching, that kid about journalism, about aggressively getting out stories, cultivating stories, putting them out. And I get it. Social media is helps in being the great equalizer, but at the end of the day, it's still about resources. It's still about resources, and right now on the front lines, our HBCUs are suffering when it comes to that.
No, you're 100,000,000% correct. I think to expand the conversation, what Roland was referencing though is he can't even find them. They're not even on the website.
That's
being
crazy.
highlighted.
That's crazy.
And I can speak from experience from the institution where I worked for 5 years. Right.
That's crazy.
A lot of our subject matter experts, their contact information was incorrect.
That's crazy.
Or you couldn't go on the page and readily find out who is the person who is the expert in microbiology in this college, or this university, who is the person who is the expert in political theory in
Right.
this. You understand what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
what he was trying to do, he went on this 11 tweet rant. It was really profound. It's in HBCU Digest. You should check it out. He went on this rant saying that he can't find them, because
Wow.
they're in a deadline, and they have to get these information. He wants to pull on the expertise. He wants to, because they've been vetted by the academy.
Yeah.
They've written their dissertation. They're writing these books. But on the flip side of it, one of my colleagues, I don't know if you remember or know Jay Ayer, Jay, political Jay, he said the same thing you did. He said, it's also a question of tenure.
Yeah.
Because some of these guys get in here and they don't want to be found.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They comfortable.
Yeah, they're just moving on.
Yeah,
Quiet money.
Yeah, they comfortable with their
Yeah.
tenure, guaranteed gig, right? As long as they don't do anything illegal or unethical,
Right,
they get their
absolutely.
$120,000 a year plus their free benefits here in the state of Texas, right? And they don't want to be found. So it's trying to balance that. How to remain progressive, how to remain in the forefront, right? But also the lack of resources that we're so desperately fighting. Because listen, I've had classes where I literally have taught 200 students. 200 on my roll, 200.
Yeah.
We don't go to Notre Dame.
Right.
Yeah,
No,
you know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
Like, I didn't teach at Notre Dame where there was
Yeah.
70,000 students. You know what I'm saying? Or a University of California, University of Texas with 55,000 students. I taught at Texas Southern University. It was 8,000 students, and I had students. You understand what I'm saying? So you have
Facts.
you have those, and you did too. You know, you
facts.
have those situations where class loads are ridiculously heavy,
Ridiculous.
and they don't have time.
Mhm.
But
Ridiculous.
at least let me find them.
Yeah.
Let me go on the website and say, okay, you know what? We know that John Guest IV, he knows his area is public finance.
Right.
He's published 4 books. He's written 7 articles. He's done this, that, and the third. I can easily find him because it's on the website somewhere. I don't have to dig and go to the back page. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So that becomes a problem. And that's what
Roland was
saying.
Yeah,
Man, your
no.
frat brother was talking about, man.
Yeah. My frat brother's always insightful.
Here we go.
Shout out to the 06s, man.
Yeah, what up, 14?
December 4th is going down.
January 9th is going down.
Because it's always icy cold around December.
Listen, but I love that perfect date.
I tell you,
We can do this all day long.
no, I tell you though, Roland has a point, but it just then again
It's
too
nuanced, man.
Yeah, it is, and I think though we have to have a cultivation of loving all HBCUs, and what I mean by that is there's talent at all of them. So some of our go-tos, no disrespect to these universities like Morehouse and Spelman and Howard and all those,
right.
and FAMs of the world, they're prominently known, but
We have way more.
I mean, if there was a tier of HBCUs, and I love my Southern U and Texas Southern, don't get me wrong, but a lot of these, and this is me putting my finance hat on, when companies go to recruit, they're not coming past Atlanta, Georgia.
They're not. They're not going past the Mason-Dixon line.
No, they're not, and they're stopping right there.
Unless it's for a certain
FAM is
professional
probably,
school.
FAM is probably the closest that they get to. So what I mean by cultivating love is there's a whole slew of
There's a gap
that you're missing. I mean,
disconnect.
if you couldn't find somebody, well, go to Jackson State in Jackson, Mississippi, or
go to Nashville, go to Fisk, right?
Go to Fisk, go to Alcorn, go to itty bitty Mississippi, and from Mississippi
Go to Lincoln.
State. I mean,
yeah,
so,
in
I mean,
Illinois.
there are a bunch of them. There are a
Right.
bunch of them there, but they just wouldn't get the notification or glamorized because they are in small cities.
Right.
With the exception of Houston probably being the largest one to house HBC, well, outside of Atlanta, Georgia, but and Howard in DC, but
We're still the largest.
still,
I mean,
yeah.
Texas has the westernmost.
Yeah.
With Houston Tillerson, that's the westernmost HBCU in the country.
Yeah,
right.
and so therefore, I mean,
The three westernmost. in Texas.
we have to cultivate that because we have more, and I can definitely speak from experience on this. I TSU, Texas Southern, even though we're lacking, we don't lack as much as like Mississippi State does.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it just has to be a collective effort to find that.
It
But
does.
there are great historically black colleges in Mississippi. Sometimes you just got to go to where the source is.
Tougaloo. Tuskegee. I mean,
Absolutely.
Tougaloo's in Alabama. Tuskegee. Come on, man.
Yeah,
The
I mean,
Institute.
it's right there.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't wait for it to come. You just got to go down there and cultivate.
I'm sorry,
it.
Tuskegee in Alabama too. But anyway.
But we're gonna shout them out anyway
Yeah,
because they are part of the love train.
They're absolutely
They're part of the.
You
they're
know
part
who
of
else
the
is a part of the love train? Oh, go ahead. I'm
Well,
sorry.
you got smaller, even smaller than that, the small HBC.
Wally?
Hankerville, Wally College,
Yeah,
Texas
yeah.
College,
Wally,
TC,
Paul Quinn.
Paul
Paul
PQ,
Quinn,
absolutely.
yeah.
Like all of these small schools, like they don't have the best site, and I went
Lane
to Texas College,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
and I know that it's hard for them to be seen. Period.
Right.
And recruiting, I only ended up at Texas College because I was thinking about going to the military. I didn't have enough money to go to the Art Institute of Dallas, so I was like, forget it, I'm going to the military.
Right.
And then they hit me up, just had me to bring my portfolio for art. Ended up playing football, but those things are true, and I think that's a problem, especially with small HBCUs.
No, agree with the rusks.
Yeah.
You
just gotta go to them.
Yeah,
you gotta go to them.
agree.
You gotta go to
You
'em.
sitting at a table full of HBCU graduates right now.
Absolutely.
On this
Absolutely.
mic, we have Wiley College represented. We have, as you just heard, Texas College, Texas Southern University, right? You have Thurgood Marshall College of Law. You know what I'm saying? So, and we're proud representatives, but I think that we lack in terms of at least the notoriety, even from our black spaces.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You see what I'm saying?
But and what during the late 80s, 90s, you would see HBCU hockey jerseys everywhere. I think it's more of a sight thing.
Well, shout out to Dr. Bill Cosby too, because he
helped
led the
cultivate.
charge in that.
He led the charge in
He
making sure
did.
everyone knew that black colleges was a thing.
Yeah.
And
He
we actually,
did.
I think
he created
that
a show about a
galvanized-
fake one.
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
He
no, it was-
that's how you'll watch
galvanized
it,
people
you know.
to.
Even if it was bad, even College Hill.
Absolutely.
There were things in shows and media that would give you some type of insight into these small worlds.
That's a dip, man.
We didn't have that conversation
Yeah, we gonna
with
have this
that on
conversation. We
another
gotta wrap
show.
this show, man. That's it. I know
Yeah,
we're
I
going
know,
so
right.
fast, bro. We got to do something with that. That's
For
a good
sure.
conversation. Well, listen, let everybody know how they can get in contact with you guys. Give them the dates for the event one more
I
time.
will. December 12th, Champagne Ribs is back, son.
It is.
It's back. We're gonna have a great time. We're gonna make sure that there's a vegan list. It's just for Kira. Just
Trying to
I
slide my
don't, I
wife,
don't
man.
eat. I eat chicken, fish.
we're gonna,
I just
we're gonna
don't.
make sure but it's
Woo.
gonna be something for everybody.
Absolutely.
Come out,
Greasy fingers
enjoy
and all.
fellowship. Take the opportunity to come and meet some of the movers and shakers from the political, art, and just society world in Houston, Texas. Again, it's an event open to all. Right there at 4807 Caroline. Houston Museum of
Third Ward,
African
Texas.
American Culture. Oh yeah, please don't get twisted.
Third Ward. It ain't the museum. It's Third Ward, Texas.
And make sure that you come by the museum to check out
Absolutely.
Eddie Fowler, who is a part of the National Portrait Society.
Right.
T. Rock Moore in her exhibition of Burning House, curated show by John Guest, Indifference and Democracy. Can I shout out the Instagram
Please,
handle?
please.
You
Sure,
guys
sure.
could follow us on IG at Houston Mac, on Facebook at spell it all the way out, Houston Museum of African American Culture. And if you want to check us out, our website is www.hmac.org.
There it is.
Fun fact, real quick.
Fun fact.
There is a living artist that has been showcased in HMAC, whose art is now in the Smithsonian
Oh,
of
that's what's up.
the African American Museum in Washington D.C.
that's
And so what you do is you go by the museum and you bless them with your presence so
Absolutely.
you can learn who that is.
You got to learn who that
There
is.
it is.
That's a tease. Call it tease in radio land, folks.
Absolutely. So I'm your man, Kalen Loss, a.k.a. Senor Wapo. Do me a quick favor. Go to SENORGUAP0713. Follow me on all social media outlets at that handle.
And you can follow me on Instagram at the Modern Day Cindy. That's Cindy with an I, not a Y. And I have just, your energy. It's amazing today.
Listen, I love it. I love it.
Well, we'll see you all next time.
Next time. Y'all have a good one.